Okay, I'm a little late to the party with this one, but, you know, sue me, I had another video to make. I had never heard of The Hunger Games, the books or the movies, until the trailers for this started coming out. I've since read the first book. It's really good, little underwritten at times, but still a very gripping piece of fiction. As an adaptation, I think most fans of the book are going to be pretty happy with this movie. It's very faithful, and they stick really closely to the book for the most part. You know, there are a few little changes, a few minor characters and subplots that probably got cut for time or just because they weren't really that important, but the bigger changes came from what they added. You're privy to a lot more of the world in this movie than you were in the book, and that's kind of necessary because the books are written from Katniss's perspective, so you only know what she knows. But in the movie, they cut away from her at times just for world building and to tell more of the story that in the book you'd get via narration. There's scenes with Seneca, there's scenes with President Snow, one or two other things, but for the most part they stay on Katniss, which means this whole movie rests on Jennifer Lawrence's shoulders. She does a fine job. I think she does come off a little bit cold at times, which is appropriate for the character, although I kind of wished it gave her a few more humanizing moments. The supporting roles are all very well cast. Elizabeth Banks is great, Woody Harrelson's very good, Donald Sutherland is just about perfect. The whole cast is very strong, but my favorite had to be the little girl who plays the sister, Prem. I really hope they give her a bigger role in the next two installments because she's barely in this movie, and she has probably the best scene in the whole thing. The scene where she's saying goodbye to Katniss before the Capitol people take her away, great performance. And this kid can't be more than, like, what, 10 or 11 years old? I wanted to see more of her. So yeah, thumbs up for the acting. The only part where it kind of bugged me was during the big climax. There's going to be spoilers here, but when Peeta tells Katniss to kill him so she can be the victor, he seems really nonchalant considering what he wants her to do. I mean, you think you're about to die, man. Cry a little bit. Let your voice shake. Do something. I mean, for him to be that stoic about it just kind of kills the moment. I mean, maybe it was a choice by the director, but still, it bothered me. Something else that bothered me, and this goes for all you action movie directors out there, okay? The shaky cam is a tool. It's not a religion. Used in moderation, the shaky cam can be a very effective storytelling device, but if you use it too much, it becomes overkill. And what really gets under my skin is when directors use the shaky cam to hide the fact that they either have no idea how to shoot an action sequence, or they're trying to avoid an R rating, and unfortunately, there's a little bit of that here. For the most part, the action is okay, and Gary Ross does well enough with it, considering action probably isn't his forte, but there are some scenes that the shaky cam hurt more than it helped. Specifically the scene in District 11. You'll know it when you see it. The shaky cam gets way too excessive in this scene, and the shots are framed so close to the action that it is damn near impossible to tell what's going on. Don't sit in the front of the theater. Sit in the back if you can help it. Trust me. Fortunately, that's about the worst it gets. The rest of the movie is shot better, though there are a few parts I wish they'd filmed or edited differently just to make things more clear for people who hadn't read the book. And I would advise you to read the book first, otherwise you might be a little confused at certain points. They don't have Katniss's narration, so they try to impart information in other ways. Some are more effective than others. As a result, some details do kind of get glossed over or feel like they've been tacked on a little bit. But those are fairly minor gripes. My only major complaint, aside from the shaky cam thing, is the subplot about Peeta's leg injury. It's not cut, but it's marginalized. And unfortunately, this really hurts the third act in my opinion, because a lot of the tension and dread in that part of the book comes from that injury and the fact that he really could die if he doesn't get help. And in fact, almost does die at the end. That subplot gets resolved way too easily, and it just ends up robbing the climax of a lot of drama. I mean, it also meant that my favorite scene from the book got cut. You know, when they're in the airship at the end and Peeta's bleeding to death and Katniss doesn't know if he's going to live. That's not in the movie, which made me mad because I was waiting for that, and frankly, I think the film is worse for not having that scene in it. But for the most part, it's a good movie. You know, I know I sound like I'm complaining a lot, but it's a pretty strong film. You know, it's a loyal adaptation. They didn't rape the book or anything. About 90% of the time, it's pretty effective. You'll cry at the right parts. You'll laugh at the right parts. Except maybe one scene. The commentary on reality TV is really clever. Characters like Seneca and President Snow are actually more fleshed out than they are in the book. I don't know if the romance is as effective as it could be, though. I mean, it's there, but they sort of downplay it. And I'm not sure if that turned out to be a good thing or a bad thing, but if you're going to see this for the quote-unquote love triangle, you'll be disappointed. Don't be fooled by the advertising. Liam Hemsworth is on screen for maybe 10 minutes. But thankfully, they don't shy away from the hard stuff. It might not be as graphic as I wanted. It probably would have been better with an R rating, but the book is all there. And you don't need to read the book to understand it, although that does clarify a few things. My opinion, I do think it's a little bit flawed because of some creative and stylistic choices that were made. I think it falls just short of being a great movie, but I liked it a lot. So I would definitely recommend The Hunger Games. I'll probably see it again. Don't be thrown off by the Twilight comparisons. Those are total crap. I think adults can enjoy this movie just as much as kids or tweens or whatever. And that's all I got. I don't know when I'll do another movie review. I think I'll definitely do one for the Avengers. I'll probably do one for Spider-Man. Maybe one for Cabin in the Woods, too. I don't know yet. So watch out for those. And until then, go check out The Hunger Games. Seriously, it's a good movie. It's also a good book. So read the book and see the movie. Do both, They're both good. All right, later.